evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Wednesday night photo show from Dan's Camera City. This is our little semi-weekly meet and greet and chat and talk about photography. I hope you had a great Halloween if you're into the spooky stuff. Happy Dia de los Muertos for those of you who celebrate. And now it's time to move on to the next major celebration of the year. I'm, of course, talking about the InVision Photography Festival, a month-long celebration of all kinds of photography stuff over at the Banana Factory. And here with me tonight, we have Nicole from the Banana Factory and Jason, who will be presenting stuff at the Banana Factory as well. And so I'd like you to introduce yourselves. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what's going on here. Nicole?
Sure. So my name is Nicole Giancarelli. I am the visual arts specialist over at the Banana Factory Art Center. We're a community art center, and we are also part of the larger nonprofit Arts Quest. And we do a whole host of things over at Banana Factory, but every November, we kind of transition over to InVision, as Scott mentioned. So I work a lot with our gallery programs, which is a huge part of our InVision celebration, because we like to, put on some great exhibits with some regional photographers. And then we also have like our juried show. So we have a lot of cool things that we do that are gallery and exhibition related. And then I also do a lot of programming for adult classes year round. So that's kind of a good summary of my position as a whole and kind of how it relates to InVision as well.
Nice. All right. And for those who are completely unfamiliar, where is the Banana Factory? How do they get there? And what is it that they're kind of looking at in that space?
Sure. So the Banana Factory Art Center is located in South Bethlehem on 3rd Street. And it is situated part of the building is a refurbished banana warehouse. In the 1990s, it was like conglomerated with a couple of other nearby buildings and reopened as Banana Factory Art Center. So we have gallery and exhibition spaces in the building. We have studio spaces for resident artists. And then we also have a whole variety of different like classroom spaces. So as you're going through the building, you can check out some of our exhibitions. You can see work and different studio spaces from some of our resident artists. And you can also take classes and workshops there as well.
Awesome. All right. And our guest tonight is Jason. Other guest tonight is Jason Chen. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work and how you came to be involved with the InVision Photo Festival?
Oh, sure. My name is Jason Chen. I am a photographer based in Philadelphia. I also run Paradigm Gallery with my business partner, Sarah. Nicole has been very nice, invited me to juror this year's InVision exhibition. So that's how I came to associate with InVision. And also they invited me also have a solo exhibition in the same time as the InVision exhibition. So I have about 22 pieces at the space right now.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. So InVision is a whole month-long thing, right? Like it's not just, it's a pretty big deal.
Yes, it's the biggest deal ever.
Well, I mean, so it's not like here's a couple of things. There's stuff the entire month from what I'm seeing here. Right?
Yeah, there's
is
things
it just
you can do throughout the month.
Okay. And there's stuff going on both at the Banana Factory, and it looks like there's some partner programs other places.
Yes, yeah, we have a really cool partner program with the Lehigh Valley Zoo, which I can talk about a little bit later in the kind of whole lineup that we've got going on. But yeah,
nice.
We do try to do some partner shows at other locations, and like a big part of InVision is like photo walks and like photo experiences. So we try to kind of get out into the community a little bit.
Cool. All right. So in terms of that getting out into the community and that ways for people, like this is not just photos hanging on the wall, but there's stuff for people to do, right?
Yes. Yeah. Um,
All right.
so I can
So I
start
guess
talking
like,
about the
yeah, let me throw
Instagram.
up.
Yeah.
I got a couple of things here that you sent over for me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna add that one in here.
Yeah. So one of the whole like month-long things that you can participate in is our Instagram photo challenge, which you can kind of think about as the like Inktober of photography. So every week we have a different like challenge word to kind of inspire our photographers out there. And you can post your photo to Instagram. Using the hashtag that we list on our Instagram page. So if you are interested in participating and want to get like the whole rundown of everything, make sure to check out the Banana Factory Instagram page. You can pull up this post and it has a link to everything you're going to need to know to submit.
Awesome.
But basically, you can just post your photo on Instagram with the appropriate hashtags. And you can participate in as many challenge words as you want, or participate every week, or just maybe 1 week. And we will have an overall winner at the end chosen. Actually, Scott, you are our juror for this challenge this year. So you'll be selecting like one overall winner, and then each week we'll have a favorite selected by you to win a cash prize as well.
Yeah, very cool. What I like about this is that you can just go and hit that hashtag and see all the other stuff that everybody else is doing. So there's this neat little community that can kind of build up around it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really fun to like, you can follow hashtags on Instagram. So if you just look up the hashtag for the overall challenge, you can see like all of the photos that were submitted come in. And it's very fun to follow along and see what people are posting.
Yeah, it's cool because then you can follow that and then you see these other people and you find like other local photographers to follow on Instagram. Like I've discovered
Absolutely.
a couple of people that I didn't know about before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a great way to like find all the people coming out of the woodwork that maybe you didn't know
Right.
were really interested in photography in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else we got? This
So
was kind of a cool deal that you've got going here. And this is going all the way through January, I say.
yeah, so this is basically all through November, but then through December as well. We wanted to keep it up and have more time for the community to participate. Because 1 month is not long enough for photography. Uh, this is our community photo exhibition this year. And it's really simple. Basically, you're allowed to kind of bring in whatever print of a photo that like you're really excited about or proud of. And you can literally pin it to our wall. And we're just going to create a whole host of different community submitted photos for this exhibition. So you can come in and just see what people in the community are producing. And then we have a juror for this show as well. So Michael Barone is a local photographer. He specializes in product photography, but he's done a whole host of different stuff throughout his career. He's done a lot of portrait photography as well. So he's a very well-versed photographer, and he is our juror for this show. And we have different like photo categories that he'll be going through and selecting like his favorite portrait, his favorite landscape, his favorite like abstract photo. So yeah, if you have any kind of cool photo or you're just like super proud of a photo that you have, grab a print of it and come down to Banana Factory and you can add it to our community exhibition.
I kind of love that. So it's not like it's not a curated thing. It's not I've got to submit this. It's literally you can just come in and stick it on the wall, and it's a really kind of a community collaborative thing that I imagine it will wind up being some sort of like it seems very organic in the way that it can kind of grow with whatever gets tacked up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. Like I think that's why it's great that it's longer than just 1 month. It's going to be fun to see it kind of evolve throughout the time that, you know, people are coming through the building and getting more involved with InVision.
That's awesome. I love that. All right. So let's see. There's the photo exhibition, and then there's a ton of workshops that it looks like you've got going on as well.
Yeah. We've got workshops all month long. So we have 2 great free workshops with one of our teaching artists, Rebecca Kelly. She'll be teaching some workshops related back to Jason's exhibition. We have one photo weaving workshop, so participants can practice shredding some photos and then using weaving techniques to kind of create a brand new piece. And then we have a photo transfer workshop with her as well. And those are free to participate in.
Oh, I'm
so,
sorry.
Yeah. Photo transfer is basically, there's a couple different ways you can do it, but it's basically the idea of taking a photograph that is on one surface and transferring it to another surface. So say you had a photograph, but you wanted to like put that photo on like a piece of fabric. Like there are different methods you can use for doing that. For this workshop, we're going to be mainly focusing on just taking a photograph from a photo to another piece of paper. But she's going to go over the process of how to do that with just masking tape. So it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, masking tape transfer is one of my favorite things when I was learning how to do alternative process photography. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
That's it. Really, you know what? I've always enjoyed doing alternative process work, and I don't think I've ever done masking tape transfer. Done image transfer a couple of different ways. I did not know masking tape was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to come check it out.
Yes, you should.
So what are we looking at here? This one is, this one's a demo, right?
Yeah, so this is a piece by artist Amy Burke. She is a local photographer and she specializes in alternative process photography. So she is going to be doing a demo of her wet plate collodon process, which is like a very kind of like traditional way of doing photography. And it's not often that you kind of get to see a photographer using these processes from start to finish. And that's what she's going to do in this demo. She's going to bring in her daughter, take a photograph of her, do the whole exposure, and then move people into the darkroom to kind of like watch that process of how that photo gets developed. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. That's a fascinating process. And that's an old one, right? We're talking like Matthew Brady, Civil War era.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's like 1800s. It was developed
like mid 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very historical process, and most like historical alternative processes are basically just like chemistry. So it's like really cool to watch the whole thing happen.
A good wet plate collodion photograph can last decades, and if not like longer,
hundreds of years.
And it's one of the most beautiful processes I've ever seen. I have the privilege to work on it once because it requires a lot for this practice because everything has to be shot and you need to have a dark room, and the whole process like takes about 10 minutes because like everything is chemical based. You have to mix it right there. It's going to be a fascinating demo. So definitely go
the neat thing about that one is that's it has to be shot wet, right? Like the plate still has to be wet in order to make the exposure. So you've got to like make the film, take the picture, develop the picture before the whole thing dries or it doesn't work.
Yep.
So it's like this beat the clock thing while you're doing this delicate dance with your materials.
But here's the cool part too, because like anything, any variation in this can make a picture completely different. And it's really cool. I'm not an expert in wet plate collodion, but I have seen like several times that something goes off and it's just like, oh, it's some really interesting chemical reaction happening. So yeah, definitely go see it if you are in the area.
That's awesome. Very cool. And then there's some other cool stuff going on.
So we have this great opportunity to work with a local photographer, Kate, who is really, really well versed in wildlife photography, and the Lehigh Valley Zoo, where participants are going to get like a 60-minute session to have like some up close encounters with the zoo ambassador animals. And Katie is going to kind of go over like different tips and techniques for how to kind of photograph wildlife, and how to kind of get a really good shot for those kind of subjects, really.
Mhm.
And I'm just like so excited that people kind of get to experience this like at the Lehigh Valley Zoo. They have a great program that I think they do call them like close encounters or something like that. We kind of like
Mhm.
riffed on their title, where you can like kind of meet with certain ambassador animals at the zoo. So we kind of worked with them to take that same idea and turn it into a great like photography experience.
I've seen Kate's work. She's a great wildlife photographer. Those are going to be some very
Yeah.
cool workshops.
Yeah. So we're
Nice.
super excited about those. So if you are interested in signing up for those, you can do so at the Banana Factory website.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And sort of like we're giving people the little preview, but we're sort of kicking this whole thing off in a big way at First Friday, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if someone has never heard of First Friday, what the heck is First Friday?
So First Fridays are basically the Banana Factory's big open house that we do every month except for the month of August because as we are part of Arts Quest puts on Music Fest during the month of August. So that's the
So
only
you're a little
month
busy.
we have one.
Right.
Yeah, we're a little busy. So first Friday of every month, 6 to 9 p.m. We have our doors open. We have programming on the first floors. That is typically when all of our new exhibitions open. So if you're interested in checking out like any new shows that are coming up, First Fridays are a great night to come out and see those shows. A lot of the times we have, the artists in the show kind of there on site doing artist talks, getting to interact with anyone coming through the exhibition. And all of our resident artists are in their studio spaces. The studios are opened up, so you can kind of go in and meet with some of the artists that we have in the building, and just learn more about them and their work and their processes. So it is just like a great, year-long event. If you're, free those Fridays, come on out and see something new every Friday. And November is InVision First Friday. So the whole night is InVision themed. So we have a lot of really, really cool stuff going on. We do have all of our like exhibitions opening. So as I said, like Jason's show is going to open that night. We have the opening of our annual juried show that we do, which did have a theme of alternative process this year and was juried by Jason. And we'll announce the
You can meet me.
Yes. We'll announce the award winners that night as well.
Awesome.
And we have some great like hands-on experiences for that First Friday as well.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So students with the Moravian College art program are going to be on site and helping to walk people through the process of doing a cyanotype. So while you're in the building that night, you can come through and make a cyanotype, which is a type of alternative process photography. We have a great example on screen here. They're very well known for like that blue color. Is caused by like the chemicals that are used, and I am blanking on which chemicals those are, but
You want me to nerd out here?
Sure, if you know, please nerd out.
So it comes from using an iron salt rather than a silver salt. We're using ferric ammonium citrate and potassium ferricyanide are the two chemicals that are involved here. You're essentially making Prussian blue dye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And this
is another very really old process.
Yeah. One of like the earliest processes, and then it was also used in like architecture, I believe, for
if you've ever seen blueprints that are actually blue, this is the same process.
Yeah. And this is actually like a cameraless process too.
Yes.
So like that evening, what you're going to be doing is the paper will be pre-treated with those chemicals, and you can expose the paper with like objects on top of it. So a really common thing you'll see with people working with cyanotype today is like botanical kind of silhouettes, because they place like flowers or like different vegetation on top of the paper. And that's a little bit kind of what you're seeing here, I believe. And it kind of like creates like the silhouette of that image. So we have like some really like fun and interesting things that people can use to create like a fun texture on their print that evening.
That's a fun historical throwback too. The fact that you're using your, plants or leaves or whatever is kind of, that was some of the first uses for these processes. People like William Henry Fox Talbot would make these, I don't know, photogram natural drawings to, as a naturalist, they were recording, making illustrations of these things. And that's sort of, it kind of is full circle back to where these things came from.
Yeah.
Very
Instead of
cool.
like doing like illustration, it was a way to kind of record the natural world, but using like a very early photographic process to do so. Yeah. And then we will also have Dan's Camera City on site.
That's right.
To talk about our photo swap event that will be happening later that month. That'll be on the 20th of November. So that's also a great free event to participate in, where basically you can come to this event and kind of use it as a way to network and meet with other artists, but also just like kind of trade, different prints around. We did do this back in 2018 and it was super fun. We had a great response. We had a lot of people come out. We held it at the Brewworks and everyone just had a great time kind of seeing, the work of other photographers and kind of creating prints and kind of leaving with like a mini collection of art that evening. And something that something that Dan's is doing this year is offering 10 free 5x7 prints. So if you want to participate, you can take advantage of that offer. And the deadline for that is the 13th, and you can participate by going to the link down below.
When you go to that link down below, you'll wind up at this page, and you're just going to, this has got all the information about the meetup. Saturday the 13th is the deadline for submitting your images. That gives us enough time to get everybody's pictures printed and get everything together and get them all prepared. And then we're going to meet up at the Banana Factory on Saturday the 20th from 11 to 1. We'll be meeting up in, what gallery are we going to be in?
We're going to be in the Crayola Gallery.
Nice. That's the nice big one.
Yes. Yeah. Nice big one. Giant windows.
Beautiful lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to have some snacks and some refreshments, and I think they're working on maybe getting some live music. It's going to be a good time.
Some live music.
It's a nice little social event.
Yeah. Just come hang out, grab a snack, trade some prints with people. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day.
And we've done a couple of these print swaps in the past. It's always neat to see so many different people from so many different backgrounds. We've had fairly young photographers to much older photographers. Like it age doesn't matter, experience doesn't matter. Like everybody brings pictures and swaps them and shares them, and everybody's going to get a little photo album. So we're putting those together so that you'll be able to kind of collect all your little pictures together. It's going to be a good time. We do have to limit it to 30 people, I think was what we said. So go ahead and get yourself signed up for the print swap. You get 10 free 5x7s to share with your fellow photographers in the community. It's going to be a real good time. I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And if you do get to the site kind of late and you're like, darn, I'm not one of the first 30 people to sign up, you can always like bring in your own prints. Like if you already have prints at home that maybe you really like and you're willing to kind of bring in and trade.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. More than welcome to come to the event with your own prints or get your prints printed, at home, or you can just fill out like the regular like print order page via Dan's Camera City and kind of bring in your prints to the event and still participate.
Yeah.
But you got to get on early if you want to take advantage of the free 10
free, but like bring pictures and it's all good. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. We did one of these last year and we did it virtual. We did it online like this. And it was great. Like we just had a bunch of people log on and we sat around and we talked about pictures for a while. But it's going to be good to kind of be back in a gallery space and be able to like handle our physical prints and poke at them and like back to an in-person thing. It's going to be very good.
Yes, so exciting.
Yeah. All right, and we did talk about like the other thing that's going on at First Friday. Jason, I believe you've got a whole solo exhibit, and you're giving a talk on First Friday too, as well, right?
Yes, I will be there from 6:30 to 7:30 for the artist talk, but I'm probably gonna be there until the end of the night. So if anyone want to stop by, say hi, shake my hand. I'm vaccinated. I'm fine with that.
Cool. So, and this is from the series that you've got in the gallery right now, right?
Yes. This is one of the pieces from my solo show, Second.
All right. And so tell us a little bit about what's going on here, because it's such a striking image. And at first, when I first saw this thing, I was thinking, okay, there's some digital manipulation going on here. It's all shifted around. But it's not, is it?
It's not. So they I mean, I gotta say they are studio photography. They are studio photos.
Right.
They were shot in a studio with colored LED lights. So the colors were manipulated in a practical way, and I did enhance it in the post process. But the rest of it are all of the mutation you see and all of the pattern you see are actually from the physical weaving of the two image. So the process itself is two different image, one cut vertically and the other one cut horizontally. And then I physically weave them back together like a basket, and to create the final piece. And yeah.
So, and what was fascinating to me about this is that I haven't gotten to see the show yet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there at First Friday.
Yay.
I hope I can get away from the table for a minute to go and see the work. But what struck me was that, like, from a bit of a distance, it kind of had that, okay, rose, and it kind of looks like pixely and broken up. But when you get up close, you've got these detail shots, and it becomes more organic, and you can start to see the handmade quality of it.
Right, absolutely. And that's one of the main reasons why I really love about this process is that like you can even if I did make a mistake, like, and I do make a lot of mistakes from time to time, you can see it on the piece. And to me, I think that is adding character to a photograph that a lot of the time you miss from just a digital print, or even a C print, because a lot of the time you don't actually get to physically work on a print if you don't have access to a darkroom. So I personally just really valued like on-hand process, like just hands-on manipulation, kind of like alternative process. And one of the main reasons why I really enjoy alternative process photography, and it's kind of me shifting my practice from the dry plate tintype process to this physical manipulation process.
That's interesting. So you had done dry plate tintype work and historic processes, and have kind of shifted gears here.
Well, it's I don't know if it's that historic in a way. I mean, it is still a chemical process that change from wet plate collodion into this commercially made ready like emulsion that you can just pour and but the cool part about the dry plate process is that you have a little bit more time with the plate rather than wet plate collodion.
Right.
And another practical reason I use the dry plate is that a lot of the stuff that I did before were a dual process. I shot everything digitally, and I actually digitally manipulated manipulated the photo to look like what I want first, and then I print it on a large film to make contact print.
Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't like an in-camera kind of like shot process, not like the web play collodion. So to me, that was fun for a while, but then I still only get so much about with how much of my hand can touch it, and I probably shouldn't be touching the emotion once it's on there. So so I kind of left that process and start trying to find different things. After a while, like I also worked at a print shop. So every summer I get to make a lot of prints to calibrate the machines and stuff like that. So I started looking at this like pile of prints, because usually those are just my photo, because if I'm trying to test the machine and everything. So I'm just looking at all these photos. I was like, oh, I'm very bored. I want to work with my hand. So I started slicing it, like literally hand cutting, stripping it to just kind of like, I want, work with my hand and see what I can do with this. And then after that, I saw this like kind of curtain like piece, and I was like, oh, this looks fun. So I'm gonna do it the other way. And then after that, I kind of remember like there is the basket weaving technique that you use two strips of like bamboo and you like weave them. I've never done it myself, so I was like,
no, I'm thinking back to like Boy Scout camp.
Yeah, never been that. So I was like, oh, I bet I could try to do something like this, with the photo. So like the very first piece that I did, where it took me about, like, I want to say like 3 weeks to make, and it wasn't even that big. It's only like a 13 by 19 piece of paper. It took me 3 weeks. Part of it is because like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Right, developing your process there, right?
Right, and at the same time, it's like the paper were like not ideal to work with, so a lot of it is just like kinks here and there. And I was like, this is really fun when it's done. And it was, and I kind of just fell in love with this process. So I just keep working at it. And one of the main reasons why this show is called Second is that I had a show with my first batch of these photo weaving process in, I want to say 2015, or maybe, yeah, it's a while ago, maybe 15 or 16, long time ago. And I just really enjoyed making these. And since I have developed like new techniques and different ways of making these, so it's a lot different than the first show.
And there's an interesting contrast between some of these when you talk about your technique there. What something like this, which seems to have a regular repeating pattern, and then something like this, which feels more, I don't know, fractured and off kilter almost.
Yeah, and I was actually having this conversation with Nicole when I was dropping off the pieces. This show actually allowed me to really dive into the experimenting mindset with a lot of these pieces. So I have been making work that are just regular increment of like how I strip them and stuff like that. And then the piece you have up right now actually is the same increment, but when I make the cut, I make them so each increment, I think at this piece it's 3/8 of an inch, but from one end to the other, the one end of the strip gets 3 of the 3/8 increment, and then the other, the bottom or the top has
okay,
like
so
one.
Each individual,
right? So they all kind of make a trapezoid if you look at it closely, and then did the same thing with the horizontal piece. So when everything weaved together, it creates this just incredibly chaotic looking image in a way, because I really love it, because I don't actually know what it's gonna look like until the piece is done. Most of
Oh,
the
yeah.
work,
Okay.
I do not know what it looks like until it's done. So there are pieces that I have to abandon and remake it
Oh,
completely.
right.
So
Like this is
it's
just not going the way you want it to.
exactly, yeah. Well, it's not that. Like I would still finish the piece first, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, this is gonna go into my never see any daylight kind of draw. So I was like, all
Mhm.
right, I'm just gonna remake this piece. But a lot of these just came out super interesting, and I love every second of it.
I'm curious about the process. Like you started, it sounds like you wanted to find a way to kind of work hands on and found this technique. Does the technique inform the themes of your work, or do you have the idea for the work and then you apply the technique to it? Is there a back and forth there?
So I want to say that there's not a whole lot of influence between the two, mainly because well, I shouldn't say that, because one of the main reason I like using this technique is that uh, I have a background in animation. That's what my
Oh,
degree is
okay.
in. So I've always tried to incorporate the element of time into my 2D pieces. And so this
Uh-huh.
technique kind of allows me to do that because they are photographs that are taken within seconds or minute of each other, and that itself kind of created the some movement or some
Mm-hmm.
kind of very subtle like camera angle or any kind of difference. So that has always been my kind of like main thread throughout all of my work.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see in some of my histories on my website, that some of them has very little changes, like very subtle changes into the
Mm-hmm.
pieces, and some of them, like this one, has like a very big and different, and it looks very abstract in a way,
Right.
and I kind of created uh, uh, room for all of these kind of differences to happen, especially for this show. Especially, like I said, I really dig into experimenting, so
Mm-hmm.
I try very different techniques and with like different variations of changes into different parts of this whole process. And one of the piece, I even use a four-sided die to just randomize numbers, and
Oh,
yeah, so
yeah. Okay.
it's one of those really fun thing that I experimented with, and on top of that, I was able to make changes and understanding how these would work, or how I can make it better or try a different thing. Like maybe next time I'll use a 20-sided die. Who knows? Um, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it really opened me up for a different kind of feel to the work.
Yeah. Interesting. And when I look at your website, I see, right, that you've got the fashion and editorial work up there. And I saw kind of, to me, that looked like it was a bit of a reflection in, like, okay, there was the studio work here, and I can kind of see the connection to the studio work that you've got going on here. If you want to tell us a little bit about maybe some of your other work that is not the woven
Y-
stuff, but a
Yeah,
photo
for
like this
sure.
one.
Yeah, I mean, I've always want to. A portrait is always my favorite things to photograph, and it's working with people. I think that's the more down to the roots is what I like shooting. Like actually get to connect with the model. I get to work with different collaborators. Like this piece over here, I worked with a Philadelphia-based hair stylist, and her name is Francesca Rivetti. Is the owner of Follicle Studio, which is right across the street from my gallery. And so we've been talking to each other for a long time. And in 2019, she invited me to collaborate with her for the that year's NAHA competition. It's the North America Hair Art Competition, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and the first time we did it, and I get to work with her. I get to work with a makeup artist, and I get to work with models that she chooses to for her collection, obviously. So I'm like one of the gears in in this machine that we produce. So, and that particular set was nominated as a finalist for the competition, and then so is this one. So we are gonna just continue working together and meeting new people, getting new concepts. So like that's one of the fun thing that I get to do, that I'm lending my skill and my aesthetic to a much bigger thing other than just me in my studio doing like just my thing, like the photo weaves and stuff like that. It's very different, and it's I see it as like a great training and great practice for my craft, rather it's in the photography side or the editorial and fashion side of things. So it's a little different than my fine art process.
And that's interesting because you say that coming from an animation background, if you're working on a larger animation project, that's a very collaborative process, right?
Yeah.
So
very. I mean,
there's sort of
it's kind of like filmmaking, like when you start adding the element of time to it, like it takes a whole village. So yeah.
So a project like this involves stylists and the model and you, and like I can see that whole
right. I mean,
really a team effort to produce something.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it really depends on the production of it too. Like if there's a much bigger production, like we're going to have a set designer. Actually, there are several shoots that I've worked on have a set designer, a florist, and model, hair and makeup, and and whatever. Yeah, exactly. So like there's a lot. It's a lot when it comes to commercial work.
That's awesome. And so you've got the studio stuff like that, but then there's work that kind of takes us outside of the studio.
Yeah, a lot of because I like I still like doing it. Like I like shooting using natural light. Like natural light is basically just a giant softbox if you think about it. So like it provided lights for you. You just need to manipulate it outside. And there's already sets that are there. You just need to figure out how to utilize it. So to me, it's two different things that I'm pursuing. The outside world, it's like a playground for editorial, right? And that's where you can get the most natural and soft. I mean, you can get different harsh light, but at the same time, like it's fun just go out there with a model or with a team if you like, to just create, be spontaneous, like that. That definitely takes a little bit more how should I put it, like spontaneity, that you see something and you'll be like, okay, let's make this work. And I would also plan ahead of time to scout out the location and everything, but at the same time, like there's nothing better than right there and you see something, it clicks, and you just be there at the moment, kind of like how photography should be, but different.
Yeah. And this looks like one of those where you're talking about there was just small subtle changes. Right? Like most of the picture is the same except for the figures over on the right.
Yes. And this one particularly, it's quite fascinating to me because I actually haven't made one that's quite like this. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. This is probably like the second one because I've been trying different ways to manipulate them. So this one was I knew I wanted big different because I had the camera locked down. So I know the scenery is going to be more or less stilled and the same. So I asked the model to really just change position and giving me a much bigger a variety of like in range of motions and positions. So that yeah. So in a way, I did like the planning ahead of time to do. But again, I wouldn't know until the piece is done.
Until it's all
what the
together.
final
Yeah.
looks like. And it's part of the fun actually.
That's fascinating. And then something like this one really caught my eye.
This one
It has
is
so
one of
much
the,
motion and energy.
yeah, this one really actually is the newest thing that I'm doing. So I don't know if you can tell, but I actually changed the order of one of the piece. After I
Oh, is
stripped,
that what? Yeah.
yeah. So the vertical strips you see are actually reversed in number. If you count, well, it's easier to do it in person, obviously. So I can explain to
Come
you in
out to
person
First Friday,
on
and we'll
Friday.
show you.
But yeah, but here, so after I've stripped the vertical piece, I actually number them from 1 to, I think I forgot how many, but let's just say 1 to 20, and then I literally take the pieces physically, rearrange them from 20 to 1, so like the image would look backward in a way, but not really backward. And then I weaved the other side into it. And that created this really insane, like you said, it's very energetic. And I completely agree with you. It's one of my favorite. But it's a small piece. So I wanted to try something bigger next time.
I'm really seeing now that you mentioned it, the idea of showing time in a single image with those multiple images woven together, and it's almost like maybe like the futurists, or like I'm thinking like Duchamp nude descending a staircase, that kind of motion.
Yeah,
like
there's an element to like cubism and also
yes.
Slit scan. I don't know if you're familiar with that technique. Yeah, so I actually have taken a class when I was in school, and they. Oh no, I didn't actually take that class. My friend did, and they showed me how to do slit scan. I was like, "Oh my god, this is fascinating!" But that's in motion, and it took so long to render. So I was just watching that, like literally watching time pass. It's incredible. So that kind of reminds me of that. But the reversing of like the strips, to me, it's we're going from a linear timeline into a timeline that doesn't make sense. That it's like going forward and backward in the same time.
It's very relevant for our current time.
It's just chaos.
Just chaos. Pure chaos.
If you've been working remote for a year and a half and you can't remember what day it is, you probably feel like this guy right here.
A little bit.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing this with tonight. There's so many cool ideas, and there's so much interesting stuff going on with InVision. I hope anybody who's joined us for a little bit tonight can come out and check out all the stuff that's going on, because there is a lot of it, and it's all very cool. I won't be able to make it to even half of it, and I'm pretty bummed about that, honestly, because there's just so much stuff. Any final thoughts, or any where can we find you and follow you for more stuff if we want to look you up online?
Sure. So for the Banana Factory, you can follow us on Instagram at bananafactory_PA. Someone already took Banana Factory before we could get in there. And you can go online to bananafactory.org, and you can see all of the schedule for InVision, where everything is happening. All of the information for that is online. Yes, thank you, Scott. And you can find out, for more of our year-round programming as well, with bananafactory.org. And I'll let Jason share where you can find him online.
I mean, the quickest way you can find me is either my website or Instagram. It's thatchinesekid.com or at thatchinesekid on Instagram. And they both link to each other. So if you find one, you find the other. And also, I'd like to say that I didn't want to say it until Friday, but if you can't make it in person and you wanted to see the work, I did created a viewing gallery on my website. So, or you can just check out the work ahead of time and come see it in person. If you have any question, feel free to come and talk to me or ask me. Yeah.
Cool. So there you can get a little preview of the work. But I am definitely pretty psyched to see this in person because these have such a physicality to them. I want to. For
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of people
doing this. That's a little weird, but
I do that a lot too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks. I don't feel so bad.
It's all good.
All right. So please come out and see us at First Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing as many people as we can out there. Nicole, Jason, I thank you so much for your time this evening. I look forward to seeing you on Friday and checking out all the stuff that's going on at the InVision Photo Festival all month. Anybody who's been following along, this recording will be up. But yeah, please get in touch, send comments, send questions. Good night, Kathleen. Thanks for joining us. And I hope we see you next time. In the meantime, yeah, get out, check out all the InVision stuff. Even if you can't make it to First Friday, please visit the Banana Factory website. There's a whole month of stuff going on, workshops and gallery shows, plenty of free opportunities to get involved. And that's going to do it for us for tonight. I hope we see you there. Get out, take some pictures, have fun, and we'll see you next time. All right.
Thanks for having us, Scott.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us. Night, everybody.